Welcome to this Planning Your Retirement webinar. It's exciting to have so many participating in this class where we'll cover information to help you plan for your CalPERS retirement. Our agenda for today's session will cover several topics including the different types of retirement and how CalPERS calculates your pension. We'll also discuss the different retirement options and survivor continuance, along with information about the cost of living adjustment or COLA, establishing a power of attorney, CalPERS retiree health benefits, and working after retirement. As we go through today's presentation, we will reference several CalPERS forms and publications that you may be interested in, so we want you to know where to find them. On our homepage, calpers.ca.gov, you'll find the Forms and Publications link. This is where you can find all the forms and publications we'll mention today and many more as well. So let's start with identifying the different types of retirement that you may be eligible for. CalPERS offers 3 different types of retirement to serve our members. Service retirement is considered normal or regular retirement for members who meet the eligibility requirements. Disability retirement is for members who can no longer perform their jobs due to illness or injury. Industrial disability retirement is for safety members or members whose employer contracts for this benefit. On the next few slides, we'll talk about each of these types in more detail. If you're attending this webinar, most likely you're within about 5 years of retirement. To be eligible to apply for a service retirement, you must be at least age 50 or if hired after January 1st, 2013, age 52, and have 5 years of earned service credit. Safety members' eligibility is based on age 50 with 5 years of service. There's 2 exceptions. First, if you work as a part-time employee, you may also qualify to apply for retirement with less than 5 years of service credit through a partial service conversion. For example, if you physically worked in a part-time position for, say, 7 years, but because you only worked a few hour days, you've only earned 3.5 years of service credit, you may still be eligible to draw a monthly benefit. Secondly, is if you are a state second-tier member, which there are very few of anymore, you must be age 55 with 10 years of service credit to be eligible to retire, unless you have 5 years of service prior to 1985 or you've elected into first tier. If you are in second tier, you can elect to go into first tier by completing the request form. To be eligible to apply for a disability retirement, you can be of any age, but you must have at least 5 years of service credit. For the standard disability retirement, the injury or illness does not have to be job-related. Industrial disability is usually only available to safety members such as police officers and firefighters. Some miscellaneous employees may be eligible for an industrial disability retirement if their employer contracts for this benefit. For an industrial disability retirement, you can be of any age and there is no minimum amount of service credit required. However, in order to qualify, the disability must be job-related and you can no longer perform the duties you were hired to do. For more information about disability or industrial disability retirement and how they are calculated, you can download and view the guide to completing your disability retirement election application, which is our publication 35, under the Forms and Publications at our website.
Now that we've discussed the 3 types of retirement available, let's move on to how we calculate your service retirement pension. This is the type of retirement most of us are eligible for. This is a good time to emphasize the fact that your CalPERS pension is a defined benefit plan. This means it will provide you with a benefit you cannot outlive. The amount of your benefit is based on a formula. It's not based on what you contributed into the system. The money to fund your pension comes from 3 sources. First is CalPERS investments, and those are the returns which currently pay 62 cents for every pension dollar. It's historically been as high as 75 cents. 25 cents of every dollar comes from employer contributions, and finally, 13 cents of every dollar comes from our member contributions. Here's the formula CalPERS uses to calculate your pension. There are 3 factors that make up this formula. The first is service credit, which is your total years of service with all CalPERS employers. The second is the benefit factor, which is the percentage of pay you're entitled to for each year of service credit that you've earned. And the third is final compensation, which is an average of your highest monthly pay rate. When you retire, CalPERS will multiply your years of service by your benefit factor, then multiply that result by your final compensation, and this gives you your unmodified allowance. The unmodified allowance is your basic pension and the highest amount you can receive when you retire. In the coming slides, we'll review each factor in more detail so you understand how they work, and we'll discuss how you can control these factors to help maximize your retirement benefit.
So let's go over the first of the three factors we just introduced, service credit. Service credit is the time you accrue while on the job under a CalPERS covered employer. When we're talking about service credit, there are three possible ways to increase your balance. For everyone, there's the service credit you earn. You may also be eligible to purchase service credit, and you may be able to convert your unused sick leave to service credit at retirement. We'll cover the first way now and discuss the other two a little further on in the presentation. Let's start with how your service credit is earned. Service credit is earned during your time spent on the job under a CalPERS covered employer. Service credit is earned on a fiscal year basis from July 1st through June 30th. You're accredited for service credit based on the manner in which you are paid. For instance, if you're paid on an hourly basis, it takes 1,720 hours to have 1 full year of service credit. If you are paid daily, it's 215 days. If you are paid monthly, it takes 10 months within a fiscal year to get 1 year of service credit. If you earn less than this, you're earning partial service credit. The following examples are of a member who is paid on a monthly basis. So here we have an example of how service credit is earned over a fiscal year. July 1st is the beginning of the fiscal year, so if you work full-time in the month of July, you'll earn 1/10 of a year of service credit. If you continue to work full-time through the rest of the fiscal year, you'll earn another 1/10 of a year for each full-time month worked until you get to the end of April, when you'll have a full year of service credit. Notice that you only have to work 10 months full-time to earn the full year of service credit. Because you've earned a full year of service by the end of April, you won't earn service credit in May and June because you can't earn more than a year of service credit in a fiscal year. You may have noticed on your annual member statement that you see a fractional amount of years, something like 22.525 or 7.783. This is because most of us don't start working on July 1st. Most of us start working partway through a fiscal year, so we've got a fractional amount. In this example, we have a member who started working full-time in the middle of November. Since he only worked a half month, he earned 0.05 years of service credit for that month. He then continued to work full-time for the rest of the fiscal year. You'll notice that because he didn't have a full year of service credit at the end of April, in this situation he continued to earn service credit through May and June. At the end of his first fiscal year, he had 0.75 years of service credit. If he continues to work full-time, then the next annual member statement would reflect 1.75, then the one after that 2.75, and so on.
So service credit was the first factor in our pension calculation. Let's move on to retirement formulas and the benefit factors. The benefit factor is the second factor used in the pension calculation. There are several different formulas for state, school, and public agency members. If you were hired prior to January 1st, 2013, your retirement formula was determined by your employer's contract with CalPERS. If you were hired after January 1st, 2013, then the retirement formula is set by law. The example we'll cover over the next few slides is the state and schools miscellaneous 2% at 55 formula. This is the actual name of the retirement formula. What the retirement formula does is define the range of percentages of final compensation you'll receive in your pension for each year of service credit in your account based on your age at retirement. Here's the chart showing the state schools and miscellaneous 2% at 55 formula. Now, the percentages you see within the chart are the actual benefit factors available to you depending on your age at retirement. We'll come back to this chart shortly to show you how it all works, but first let's review the other available formulas. Here you see the formulas for state miscellaneous and industrial and school members. State and school formulas are set by legislation and bargaining unit contract. Each of these formulas defines a different range of percentages available at retirement to the members working under them. Here you see the formulas for state safety members. Local miscellaneous and local safety formulas are for public agency members. If you're unsure of your formula, you can find it in your CalPERS account or you can check with your employer. No matter what formula your employer contracts for, almost all benefit factors start at age 50 or 52 depending on when you were first hired. The factors increase with each quarter year of age until you reach the maximum age under your formula. State and local safety members working under the 3 at 50 formula do not change with age because their benefit factor is a fixed 3%. Your benefit factor is based on the retirement formula contracted by your employer and your age at retirement and determines the percentage of final compensation you'll receive for each year of service credit. To calculate your percentage of final compensation, we'll multiply the benefit factor by your years of service. Your benefit factor increases with each quarter year of age or every 3 months based on your birthday. This means there are 4 times in a year when your benefit factor will increase to a higher level. For example, if your birthday is March 17th, your birthday quarters would be at a quarter year, June 17th at a half year, September 17th, and December 17th would put you at the 3/4 year mark. You may want to pick a retirement date that coincides with one of your birthday quarters in order to receive a higher percentage of your final compensation. You must retire on or after the birthday quarter to receive that increased benefit factor. This is an example of a benefit factor chart for the schools and state 2% at 55 formula. Don't worry if you work under this formula or another formula. The percentages of other formulas will be different, but the concepts are the same. The percentages you see within the chart are the actual benefit factors available to you depending on your age at retirement. Notice at the top of the chart is a line for the birthday quarters. We're using the same dates we mentioned on the previous slide. The column on the left is your age at retirement, and you'll notice that it starts at age 50, the earliest retirement age for this formula, and it increases to the maximum age of 63. Once you reach the maximum age, your benefit factor no longer increases. Now, it doesn't mean that your pension can no longer increase. You can still boost your pension by increasing one or both of the other 2 factors. That's your service credit or your final compensation. On this chart, we've highlighted age 55. If this member were to retire on their birthday of March 17th, their benefit factor would be at an even 2%. If you wait 6 more months to September 17th, then the birthday quarter would land on 2.032%. You can find your formula chart in your member booklet, Your Benefits, Your Future. There are 5 different versions depending on your employment category: state miscellaneous and industrial, state safety, local miscellaneous, local safety, and schools.
We've discussed the first 2 factors, service credit and the benefit factors. Now let's explain the third factor in the pension calculation, which is final compensation. First, it will be helpful to define what compensation is, and then we can talk about final compensation. Compensation is defined as payment to employees for services performed during normal work hours or for time during which employees use vacation or sick leave or some other leave balance. Your employer reports your full-time pay rate to CalPERS even if you are working part-time, since the full-time base pay rate is used to calculate the final compensation. Your base pay rate may include items of special compensation that can be reported in addition to your base pay rate. For full-time employees, certain types of pay, such as overtime, are not reportable to CalPERS. Check with your employer to find out what types of pay are being reported for you. Again, the final compensation calculation is based on your full-time monthly pay rate, not on your earnings. For example, if you work part-time, your earnings are lower. CalPERS will still use the pay rate as if you were working full-time. However, you're earning less service credit as a part-time employee. Final compensation is the calculated average of your full-time pay rate as reported by your employer. The final compensation is a consecutive pay period used in the calculation as determined by your employer's contract. The final compensation for school employees who work 10 or 11 months in a year will be calculated based on the actual number of months worked in that 12-month period, and this will lower the final compensation. State, school, and public agency employers use either 12 or 36 months for the final compensation period, depending on the contract. For safety members, there is a cap on the percentage of final compensation you can receive. For all other members, there is no limit on this percentage. So let's look at an example of final compensation calculation for an example member named Sally, who plans to retire on November 1st, 2018. Sally's final compensation is based on 12 months. So the final compensation will start on November 1st, 2017, which is 12 months prior to her retirement date. For the first 6 months from November 1st, 2017 to April 30th, 2018, Sally earns $2,900 per month, which equals $17,400. On May 1st, 2018, Sally receives a pay raise. So for the last 6 months, from May 1st, 2018 to October 31st, 2018, Sally's pay rate is $3,100 per month, which equals $18,600 for those 6 months. Added together, the total equals $36,000. Divide that amount by 12 and Sally's average final compensation comes to $3,000. So in this example, Sally has 6 months at one pay rate and 6 months at a higher pay rate. What would happen if she worked another 6 months at that higher pay rate? We'll take a look at that possibility during the retirement calculation. So now let's talk about the final compensation adjustment. If your CalPERS service is coordinated with Social Security, which means you contribute to Social Security under your CalPERS employer, then the amount of your CalPERS contribution is not based on your full monthly earnings. There's an exclusion amount. In the 1960s, state law was enacted to exempt the first 1/3 of your reportable Social Security earnings from your CalPERS contributions. At that time, the average monthly earnings were $400, and the first 1/3 of that $400 is $133.33. Because of this exclusion amount for those of us who contribute to Social Security, there's a one-time adjustment of $133.33 to your final compensation. The adjustment is the same no matter how much you earn. And this is a one-time adjustment during the calculation process. It is not a monthly deduction to your retirement check. However, that one-time adjustment will affect your retirement benefit. There is no adjustment made if your service is not coordinated with Social Security. This adjustment is automatically calculated in the CalPERS retirement estimates. So in this next example, our example member Sally has an average final compensation of $3,000 and pays into Social Security. So we subtract the adjustment amount, and this will result in an adjusted final compensation of $2,866.67. And this is the amount that will be used to calculate her pension. If you have multiple CalPERS employers, you may have some service that is coordinated with Social Security and some that's not. We'll subtract the $133.33 only for service that is coordinated with Social Security. So in this example, Sally has some service coordinated with Social Security and some that isn't. Under Employer A, she has an average final compensation of $3,000. Because this service is coordinated with Social Security, we'll subtract the $133.33 to equal an adjusted final compensation of $28.66.67. Under Employer B, her final compensation amount is the same, but is not coordinated with Social Security, so there is no adjustment taken. So as you can see, both amounts will be used to calculate Sally's retirement pension.
We've talked about the 3 factors that are used to calculate your pension. Now let's put them together. As we said before, the retirement calculation is based on a formula, not by how much you contributed to the plan. The 3 factors in this calculation are your years of service, the benefit factor based on your age at retirement, and final compensation. These 3 factors are multiplied together to calculate your unmodified allowance or base pension. Any increase in one or more of the 3 factors can mean a higher pension at retirement. We're going to look at 2 examples of the factors used to calculate your pension. In the first example, we have Sally, who worked for an employer who contracts for the 2% at 55 formula. Sally's service credit is 25 years, and her benefit factor is 2% based on retiring at age 55. When we multiply 25 years by 2%, the result is 50%. 50% of the adjusted final compensation amount of $2,866.67 provides Sally with a pension of $1,433 per month. Earlier, we asked what would happen if Sally decides to work for 6 more months under a higher pay rate. Well, not only has the final compensation increased, but other factors as well. By earning 6 more months of service credit, which puts her at 25.6 years, and with the benefit factor increased to 2.032%, the result is 51.86% of the higher final compensation, or almost $110 more per month in this example. Remember, you can use the retirement estimate calculator on our website to look at various scenarios, such as changes to the birthday quarters or your pay rates. Now that we've covered how the basic pension calculation works, let's look at some ways that you may be able to maximize your retirement. Earlier, we introduced 3 types of service credit. The first is that you earn service credit by working. The longer you work, the more service credit you earn. A second way to increase your service credit is that you may be able to purchase service credit, and you may be eligible for more than one type. Third is that you may be eligible to convert sick leave into service credit if your employer contracts for this benefit. We'll cover more on this in a moment. Let's start with service credit purchases. CalPERS offers several types of service credit that you may be able to purchase prior to retirement. Some of the more common types are a redeposit of withdrawn contributions. If you worked for a CalPERS employer in the past, separated from that employer, and withdrew your contributions, you may have the right now to redeposit those funds plus interest if you return to work as a CalPERS member. The next is service prior to membership. An example would be if you worked for a CalPERS employer as a permanent intermittent, part-time, temporary, on-call, or in a seasonal position that didn't qualify you for membership at the time. Once you become a CalPERS member, you may be eligible to purchase that prior time. The cost is based on your pay rate and contribution rate when you first became a CalPERS member, plus accrued interest. Military service credit is time that you spend in active duty prior to becoming a CalPERS member. All state and school employers, as well as public agencies whose employers' contracts for this benefit can be eligible. There are very specific eligibility requirements for purchasing military service credit, and if you are eligible, you can purchase up to a maximum of 4 years. There are some less common types of service credit that you may be able to purchase as well. For instance, time spent in the Peace Corps or with AmeriCorps Vista or AmeriCorps. Certain types of leave of absence may qualify you, such as maternity or paternity leave and temporary disability leave. Prior service with the California Public Agency before they came under contract with CalPERS might qualify. Time spent away from work due to a formal layoff may be eligible, as well as optional member service, which is time spent in certain exempt, appointed, or elected positions that allow employees the option of joining CalPERS. There's a common question that we hear, and that's, can I buy more than one type of service credit? And the answer is yes. Purchasing one type of service credit does not preclude you from purchasing another type. If, for example, we have John, who had 2 years of active military service, then worked in a temporary position for 3 years with a CalPERS employer before becoming a member. If he wanted to, he could purchase both. Being eligible for one type does not negate you from being eligible for other types. If you have some service prior to membership time or a redeposit of withdrawn contributions, because of the lower costing, you may want to check into getting this time back first, and then look at the present value types that you have, such as military. To start the process of checking into the service credit purchase, you can download and review our publication, A Guide to Your CalPERS Service Credit Purchase Options, on our website. This publication provides the eligibility requirements for each type of service credit. The next step is to use the Service Credit Cost Estimator on our website. The calculator gives you a ballpark figure of the cost to purchase most types of service credit, as well as the potential increase to your pension. The estimator can help you decide if you want to request official costing for the service credit. Your last step would be submit a cost calculation request form to us. We'll send you an election packet that will include the cost information and necessary forms for electing this type of service credit. Once you receive the cost package, review it carefully. It does contain all of the necessary forms and information to make the purchase. You'll want to select a payment method. You can choose to pay with a lump sum, monthly payments, up to 180 months, and those payments can continue into retirement, or a partial payment and pay the rest in monthly payments, again up to 180 months. When electing to purchase service credit, we must receive the information within 60 days of the mailing date on your cost package. If you wait longer, your cost package will expire and you'll need to reapply. Once we have received your election, it may take several months to credit the service credit to your account. We credit the entire amount of the service credit you elected to purchase to your account, even if you have not paid it in full. I want to emphasize that once you receive an election package, it's important to review it completely so that you can make an informed decision as to whether the purchase of any type of service credit is going to benefit you. A few years ago, I had a member who worked with the school part-time for several years before coming into CalPERS membership. She found out she may be able to add that time in and requested a cost package for service prior to membership. She approached me after a class with the packet she had received. When I spoke to her, she said she wasn't going to buy it because it was just too costly. When she first received the packet, the first thing she saw was the lump sum cost, which was over $10,000, so she just put it aside. Because she didn't review the whole packet, she failed to notice that she could make monthly payment installments of $65, and when she retired, it would give her a pension increase of approximately $250. Since her payments can continue into retirement, she'd have the $250 added to her pension and the payment coming out at the same time. That's still a $185 net increase. Now let's talk about another way that you may have to increase your service credit, which is the ability to convert sick leave. The ability to convert sick leave is available to all state and school members, and if you're a public agency employee, your employer must contract to offer this benefit to their employees, and the employer determines whether all or a portion can be converted. The sick leave to service credit conversion benefit is not something you have to purchase. Converted sick leave does not change your age at retirement or your retirement effective date. It simply increases the amount of service credit we use in determining your retirement benefit. To be eligible for your sick leave to be used, your retirement effective date must be within 120 days of separation from employment. For most of us, we'll be on payroll one day and retired the very next. But if, for example, you separated from employment at age 47, which is too young to retire, then decided to retire 3 years later when you turn 50, you are now past 120 days and your former employer would not be able to convert your sick leave. Your employer will report your amount of unused sick leave directly to us. Vacation and other types of leave, such as compensatory time off or CTO, personal or annual leave, and holiday credit cannot be converted to service credit. If you have unused vacation or other leave, you can either receive a lump sum payout or use the time before you retire. You should contact your personnel office about policies on when or how you can use your leave time. If you are able to run out your leave time, you're still on active payroll and may continue to earn service credit. There's no minimum or maximum amount of sick leave that can be reported by your employer. We use years of service credit in the pension calculation, so to get an idea of how much your unused sick leave may increase your pension, you'll need to convert your sick leave hours into years. So here's how you do it. Since 2,000 hours of sick leave is equal to 1 full year of service credit, all you need to do to convert your sick leave into years is divide it by 2,000. In this example, we divide 632 hours of unused sick leave by 2,000 to get 0.316 years of added service credit at retirement.
Now that you have an idea of how your pension will be calculated and ways you can enhance your retirement, let's take a look at the retirement payment options and survivor continuance. Before we can talk about the payment options, we need to define some terms. For most of us, the terms beneficiary and survivor sound like the same thing, but at CalPERS they have two distinct meanings. A beneficiary can be anyone you choose and is not set by law. Please note, however, if you are married or in a registered domestic partnership but do not name your spouse or partner as your beneficiary, they may still be entitled to a community property share of your retirement. A survivor, unlike a beneficiary, is defined by law. State law determines who, if anyone, is eligible to receive benefits as a survivor. In many cases, the survivor and beneficiary can be the same person. So what is survivor continuance? Survivor continuance is a monthly benefit paid after your death and retirement to an eligible survivor. This is an employer-paid benefit at no cost to you. Survivor continuance is provided by law to all state and school members. Public agency members have survivor continuance only if their employer has contracted for the benefit. In order for a survivor benefit to be paid, your employer must contract for the benefit and you must have an eligible survivor. If you have no eligible survivor at your death and retirement, then no survivor benefit would be paid. Eligible survivors as defined by law are: first is a spouse or domestic partner as long as the marriage or partnership became effective at least 1 year prior to your retirement date and is continuous until your death. If there is no spouse or domestic partner, then unmarried children under age 18, or an unmarried child who became disabled prior to age 18 and whose continuing disability renders them incapable of holding a job would receive it. Last on the list of eligible survivors would be a parent who is economically dependent upon you for more than 50% of their support. If you don't have any of the persons listed, then the benefit would not be paid to anybody. The amount your survivor receives is based on whether or not you contributed to Social Security during your CalPERS career. If you contribute to Social Security, then your eligible survivor will receive 25% of the unmodified allowance after your death and retirement. If you do not contribute to Social Security, your eligible survivor would receive 50% of the unmodified allowance. Survivor continuance is the same dollar amount regardless of which option you choose or who you name as a beneficiary. Now that we understand what survivors and beneficiaries are, we can begin our discussion of the retirement payment options. The option you choose determines what benefits your beneficiary receives after your death and retirement. You must select a payment option when you submit your retirement application. Payment options require a reduction in your retirement income in order to provide a benefit to someone else after you pass away. The reduction is based on actuarial factors based on the age for both you and your beneficiary at the time of your retirement. The younger your beneficiary, the greater reduction you'll have to take to your pension to fund their benefit. And we'll come back to that idea in a little bit. Here are the available retirement payment options. There's the unmodified allowance, which we calculated earlier in the retirement calculation section. Option 1, Option 2, Option 2W, Option 3, Option 3W, and a group of options collectively known as Option 4. And we'll discuss each of these possibilities in the coming slides. We mentioned Sally earlier during the calculation process. Sally is a CalPERS member planning for retirement. To help her decide which retirement payment option will work best for her, Sally orders a CalPERS retirement estimate, which will provide estimated dollar amounts for each of the options. We're going to review Sally's estimate in detail to show you how the options work. Like Sally, you'll want to order your own estimate to help you plan for retirement. Many of you are probably very close to retirement if you're attending this webinar and have already ordered an estimate, but we'd still like to explain the criteria for requesting an estimate from CalPERS. When you're within 1 year of retirement, you can order a CalPERS retirement estimate to help your planning. You can order an estimate by downloading and completing the Retirement Allowance Estimate Request form. If you're more than a year away from retirement, use the self-service estimate tools on our website by logging into My CalPERS with your username and password. We'll show you where to find this later in the presentation. CalPERS uses Sally's account information and the personal information Sally provides to calculate her option choices. In this example, Sally is retiring at age 55. She has 25 years of service, her benefit factor is 2% based on the 2% at 55 formula, and her final compensation is $2,866.67. Because she contributed to Social Security, Sally's survivor continuance amount is 25% of her unmodified allowance. Sally has a husband who is eligible to receive the survivor continuance, and she also wants to name him as her beneficiary. He's 56, 1 year older than Sally is. On the coming slides, we're going to review Sally's estimate in detail so that you can see how the options work. The first option available to Sally is the unmodified allowance. It would pay her $1,433 a month for the rest of her life. The unmodified allowance is Sally's base pension, and it's the highest amount she can receive in retirement, but it does not provide a benefit for a beneficiary upon her death. All the other options we're talking about are a reduction from the unmodified allowance. Since Sally contributed to Social Security during her CalPERS career, her survivor continuance amount is 25% of her unmodified allowance, which is $358. Her eligible survivor, her husband, would receive $358 a month for the rest of his life upon Sally's death and retirement. This amount will stay the same regardless of which option Sally chooses. Sally's retirement income is made up of her member contributions, her employer's contributions, and CalPERS investment earnings. Member contributions are reduced each month and paid out as part of your retirement income. For most members, it takes approximately 9 to 11 years to deplete all of the member contributions. Under the unmodified allowance, if Sally passes away before all of her contributions have been paid out to her, any remaining contributions stay with CalPERS. So in order to protect her contributions, Sally can choose an option 1. Option 1 provides a lump sum payment of any remaining contributions to Sally's named beneficiary. In order to provide this benefit, Sally's pension is reduced from $1,433 to $1,421 per month. As you can see in the highlighted box on this slide, Sally has $60,000 in employee contributions at retirement. When you order a CalPERS retirement estimate, you'll see your own numbers here. To help fund her pension, CalPERS will pay that money out to her in the amount of $462.10 per month for a period of 10.82 years. This point occasionally causes some worry amongst our members. They look at their estimate and they see that line, your contributions will be reduced to zero, and worries that that means their pension will stop. It doesn't. Your CalPERS pension is a lifetime benefit. So once your contributions have been paid out, the difference is made up by employer contributions and CalPERS investment returns, so your pension doesn't change. So if Sally passes away inside that 10.82-year period when some of her contributions are still left, if she chooses an option 1, the remainder would go to her beneficiary in a single payment. With an option 1, her husband will still receive the survivor continuance of $358 per month for the rest of his life upon her death and retirement. As you can see with this option, if Sally's husband predeceases her, her monthly amount doesn't change and she can name someone else to receive the balance of her contributions. Now we're going to cover the options that provide a continuing monthly benefit to a beneficiary, starting with option 2. So let's consider a scenario. Suppose Sally wants her husband to continue to receive the same amount of money from CalPERS after her death that she had been receiving while she was alive. Option 2 and 2W both can meet this need. Option 2 is a further reduction from the unmodified, paying Sally $1,357 a month for the rest of her life. What Sally gets in return for that reduction is the ability to leave a lifetime monthly income to her husband after her death. Under an option 2, Sally's husband would get $999 a month for the rest of his life as her beneficiary. Because they were married for more than a year prior to Sally's retirement, her husband also qualifies as her survivor. So if Sally passes away, he would get $358 as her survivor, as well as the $999 as her beneficiary, which add together equal $1,357, the exact same amount Sally received while she was alive. So option 2 could be a good choice to take care of a spouse. If the CalPERS retiree passes away, their spouse continues to receive the same amount the CalPERS retiree received while alive. If your employer does not contract for survivor continuance, or if you don't have an eligible survivor, you'd still be able to leave your beneficiary the same payment you received while you were alive. The difference is, without the survivor continuance to help pay the cost, it would require a greater reduction from your unmodified allowance. With an option 2, if Sally's husband passes away before she does, her pension will pop back up to the unmodified allowance. Option 2W is very similar to option 2 in that if Sally passes away, her husband would receive the same payment she had been receiving. The difference is that with the option 2W, Sally's pension will not pop up to the unmodified allowance if her husband passes away before she does. As a result, option 2W pays a little bit more than option 2, $1,369 versus the $1,357. The beneficiary amount under an option 2 for Sally's husband is $1,011. The survivor amount remains the same at $358. Add that to the $1,011 amount, and her husband gets $1,369, the same payment Sally received while she was alive. If Sally's husband passes away first with an option 2W, her payment stays the same. There is no pop-up as there was with option 2. So an option 2W is very consistent. If Sally passes away, her husband would continue to receive the same payment she had been getting. If he passes away first, she will continue with the same payment she had been getting all along. Remember earlier in the presentation we said that the younger your beneficiary is, the more of a reduction you would take to provide a monthly benefit? The previous example was for Sally and her husband, who is a year older than she is. Based on the slides we just covered, option 2W would provide a monthly allowance of $1,369, only a $64 reduction to Sally's unmodified pension of $1,433 to provide that lifetime benefit to her husband. But say Sally wasn't married, but had a 5-year-old grandchild she wanted to leave a monthly allowance to. By naming her grandchild, Sally would take a reduction of over $300, reducing her pension to approximately $1,125. Remember, this is a lifetime allowance, so upon Sally's death, her grandchild would receive this for the rest of her life. So let's consider another scenario. Suppose Sally wants to leave her husband a monthly income after she passes away in retirement, but the reduction to her pension under options 2 or 2W is too expensive. She needs no more money while she's alive, and her husband can get by with less after she passes away. Perhaps he has his own retirement income. Option 3 or 3W can meet this need. Option 3 would pay her $1,393 while she's alive, but her husband would receive less should she pass away. Under option 3, her husband would receive $517 as her beneficiary. Add the $517 to the $358 survivor amount, and Sally's husband would receive $875 per month upon her death in retirement under an option 3. Notice that this amount is a bit more than half the amount that Sally had been receiving while alive. If Sally's employer did not contract for survivor continuance, or if Sally did not have an eligible survivor, her option 3 would be slightly greater reduction to her, and her beneficiary would get half of what she had received while alive. Like option 2, with an option 3, Sally's pension would pop up to the unmodified allowance if her husband passes away first. Option 3W would pay Sally slightly more than option 3, $1,401 versus $1,393. Option 3W would pay her husband $521 as her beneficiary. Add this to the survivor amount, and the total equals $879 per month for Sally's husband should she pass away in retirement under the option 3W. Similar to the option 2W, by taking a higher amount now, Sally is waiving the right to pop up to the unmodified allowance of $1,433 and continues to receive $1,401 per month if her husband passes away first. We've now covered the basic options that you can choose when you apply for retirement. CalPERS offers several more options that allow you to customize your retirement benefits, and we'll briefly go over those now. The option 4 allows several additional choices. You can choose the 2W plus 1 combined or the 3W plus 1 combined. These options allow the balance of your contributions to be paid out if both you and your lifetime beneficiary pass away before all of your member contributions are depleted. Other option choices under an option 4 include leaving a specific dollar amount or a specific percentage to a beneficiary, or you can name multiple beneficiaries to receive a lifetime allowance. Keep in mind that the younger they are, the more of a reduction you'll take because CalPERS may be paying those benefits out for a much longer period of time. Less common options are that you can take a reduction upon the death of the retiree or named beneficiary, or you can take a reduced allowance for a fixed period of time. For a further explanation of the option 4 choices, please refer to our publication 18, A Guide to CalPERS Retirement Option 4, or Publication 43, which is a guide to completing your service retirement election application. So to conclude our discussion of the retirement payment options, there are several retirement payment options facts that you need to remember. There's a variety of payment options to meet your needs, all the basic options we discussed plus the option 4s. Your option choice impacts your benefit for life. You select your payment option and name your beneficiaries on your retirement application, and your option choice becomes irrevocable 30 days after your first pension payment. One of the most common questions we get asked is, what's the best option or what's the most popular choice? And unfortunately, we can't answer that. Your individual needs will determine which option is best for your situation. So it's important for you to make an informed choice because it's a decision that will affect your income for the rest of your life. If you're retiring on or after January 1st, 2018, your retirement choices will be much simpler. We're consolidating and renaming our retirement options to help you better understand the different choices available when you retire. Starting in June, if you anticipate retiring on or after that date, you'll be able to get an estimate with an updated retirement options. Visit our website and select the Active Members tab and Retirement Benefits link for more information on planning your retirement.
The next topic on our agenda is the Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA. The Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA, is one benefit that can enhance your pension after you retire. The retirement law provides eligibility for the payment of an annual cost of living adjustment each May. Cost of living adjustments are based on the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, for all U.S. cities, which is calculated by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The intent is to help protect your pension against inflation. The COLA amount for state first-tier members and school members is a maximum of 2%. State second-tier members receive a fixed 3%. The COLA for public agencies varies. Although most public agencies contract for 2%, they can contract for a higher maximum of 3, 4, or 5%. If the CPI registers a lower rate of inflation, your COLA could be less. If the CPI registers lower than 1%, depending on when you retire, it's possible that no adjustment may occur. Your retirement date determines when your first COLA is offered. Your COLA becomes available in the second calendar year of retirement, and it's credited in the month of April and paid on your pension check dated May 1st. Thereafter, any COLA adjustments are paid out each May 1st. Let's look at an example. If your retirement date is December 31st, 2018, or any time during that year, you're eligible for your first COLA on May 1st, 2020. If your retirement date is January 1st, 2019, or any time during that year, you're eligible for your first COLA on May 1st, 2021. The important thing to remember is that you may not want to retire into the next calendar year unless you're trying to increase your pension with one of the other factors in your calculation, such as waiting till your next birthday quarter for a higher benefit factor or working for a longer period of time at a higher pay rate. So we've covered a lot of information so far. Let's review a few items regarding retirement planning. You should begin planning the details of your retirement at least 1 year before your retirement date. As discussed earlier, you should consider attending more than one CalPERS retirement class. It's always better to be more prepared than less. Request a CalPERS retirement estimate and review the retirement application booklet. Discuss your retirement plans with your family and friends, and consider meeting with a financial advisor to assess your retirement needs. Factors that you may want to consider when choosing your retirement date include retiring on or after your next birthday quarter, a higher final compensation period, and the cost of living adjustment. When completing your retirement application, keep in mind that your retirement date must be at least 1 day after your last day on payroll. It's important to understand that the option you choose is irrevocable after the mailing of your first full retirement check. And finally, if you're submitting your application by mail or in person, your signature and your spouse or domestic partner signature must either be notarized or witnessed by a CalPERS representative. The earliest you can submit your retirement application is 120 days prior to your retirement date, and we like to receive it as early as possible. The more time you can give us to process your paperwork, the better chance we have of starting your payments on time. You can submit your retirement application by mail to our headquarters. You may want to consider mailing your application by certified mail to assure that it arrives safely at CalPERS. The address can be found at the bottom of the last page on the application. You can also submit it in person at a CalPERS regional office nearest you by appointment. Please keep in mind that if you are submitting your application in person, you need to provide a valid ID and verify your identity. And you can now submit your application online through your MyCalPERS account. Once we receive your application, CalPERS sends an acknowledgement letter to you and your employer. Shortly before you receive your first full retirement check, CalPERS will send you a letter providing you with the date of your first retirement check and what your monthly retirement income will be, and tax information. You'll also receive information about your continued CalPERS health benefits if applicable.
Our next topic is the CalPERS Special Power of Attorney form. What would happen to your retirement if you were unable to handle your own affairs? With the CalPERS Power of Attorney, you may designate someone to act as your attorney in fact. Your attorney in fact can be given authority by you to handle specific issues related to your retirement account. They can contact CalPERS and request information regarding your benefits, as well as endorse the retirement check and change your tax withholdings or address. Here's another reason that someone may want to have a POA on file. Many times CalPERS will have a spouse calling in to ask questions or to get information specific to a member's account. Without a power of attorney on file or speaking directly to the member to get authorization, CalPERS staff can only provide general information to someone who is not the member. Now, you may already have a durable power of attorney set up through another resource. However, it may not address your CalPERS retirement. The CalPERS Special Power of Attorney is a form that allows you to designate someone to handle your CalPERS retirement issues for you. It cannot be used to grant authority over medical, real, or personal property decisions. On the form, you determine what specific authority your attorney in fact may have. They may submit a retirement application on your behalf and choose an option for you. If you don't give specific authority or select a payment option, the attorney in fact may only choose option 1 or the unmodified allowance. The attorney in fact may also be able to designate a beneficiary. If you do not grant specific authority, the attorney in fact cannot designate or change the beneficiary, and they aren't permitted to designate themselves as beneficiary unless you authorize it. You can download or view the CalPERS Special Power of Attorney form under the Forms and Publications section of our website. Let's move on to health benefits in retirement. CalPERS health benefits are available in retirement to those who are eligible to participate. All California State University, or CSU, and state employers offer CalPERS health benefits. If you work for a public agency or a school, your employer must contract with CalPERS to offer this benefit to their employees or retirees. If you are a public agency or school member and your employer does not contract with CalPERS for health benefits, you'll need to contact your employer to find out about your health benefits in retirement. A few questions you should ask. First, will the coverage continue into retirement, and if so, for how long? If it does, you should ask how much your employer will pay towards your premiums versus how much you'll have to pay. Can your dependents continue to be covered? And will coverage continue to family members if you pass away? When you retire, you have the same health plan choices available as when you were active. Currently, CalPERS offers the following plans. We have preferred provider organizations, or PPOs, such as PERS Care, PERS Choice, and PERS Select, and these are administered by Anthem Blue Cross. Health maintenance organizations include Kaiser Permanente, Blue Shield of California, Sharp, United Healthcare, HealthNet of California, and Anthem Blue Cross. Blue Shield is only available in California, while Kaiser is available in California and selected areas outside our state. The other HMOs are available in limited areas. Exclusive provider organizations, or EPOs, which are administered by Blue Shield and Anthem Blue Cross and are limited to certain counties. For a detailed description of these organizations, you can visit the CalPERS website. Last are association plans, which are only available to members who pay dues to these specific associations. You must continue paying dues after retirement to keep these plans. The plans offered are the Peace Officers Research Association of California, the California Association of Highway Patrolmen, and the California Correctional Peace Officers Association. So let's talk about eligibility requirements for retiree health benefits. If you work for an employer that contracts for the CalPERS Health Benefits Program, there are still requirements that must be met to continue your health into retirement. You'll need to retire within 120 days of separating from your CalPERS employer. It's that same 120-day rule we talked about back during sick leave. You'll need to be eligible for health benefits on the date that you separate, and you'll need to receive a monthly retirement allowance. Health coverage eligibility and the cost of your health plan may vary depending on where you live, the length of your employment, the health plan you choose, and your last CalPERS employer before you retired. Specific health plans, covered benefits, monthly rates, and co-payments are determined by the CalPERS Board of Administration, which reviews health plan contracts annually. If you work for a public agency or school, please contact your employer to verify retiree contribution rates. For state members, you can find this information from our website. While you're still active, you'll continue to contact your employer's health benefits coordinator for information on health benefits. Once you're retired, you can contact CalPERS for health benefits questions. If you have dependents currently on your health plan, they will continue to be covered after your retirement as long as they continue to be eligible. Any dependents that are eligible but not enrolled at retirement may enroll within the 60-day retirement window or during any future open enrollment period. Dependent coverage may include a spouse or registered domestic partner. Coverage may continue up to age 26 for children who are natural, adopted, or a stepchild, or if a parent-child relationship exists. Certified disabled dependent children over the age of 26 can continue on your health plan if the disability occurred prior to the age 26. Dependents may also be covered after your death and retirement as long as they continue to receive a continuing monthly benefit from CalPERS and are eligible for health benefits at the time of your death. So if you want an eligible dependent to be able to continue your health benefits after you pass away, you need to be sure they will receive a continuing monthly payment as a beneficiary or a survivor. For example, if your employer does not provide survivor continuance, you would need to choose an option that provides a monthly benefit to your dependent. If you chose an option 1 or an unmodified allowance, which like we discussed earlier do not provide a monthly payment to your beneficiaries, your dependents would not be able to continue health benefits after your death and retirement. If you need to make changes to your health plan, it can be done either during open enrollment or after a qualifying event. The open enrollment period is held in the fall of each year, with changes during open enrollment becoming effective January 1st of the new year. Changes include switching health plans as well as adding or deleting family members. There are also qualifying events that allow you to change your health plan outside of open enrollment. Some examples are getting married or entering into a domestic partnership, the birth of a dependent, loss of coverage, or divorce or dissolution. Moving may also affect your health coverage. You can change your health plan 31 days prior to your move and up to 60 days after. We have some helpful tools when changing a health plan. You can use the health plan zip code locator on our website to check whether your health plan is offered in the area that you're moving to. If not, you'll need to change your plan. Once you know what plans are available, you can do a side-by-side comparison using the Health Plan Chooser tool. Even if your health plan is offered in your area, you'll still need to update CalPERS with your new address so that we can update your health plan. Once you become Medicare age, Medicare and your CalPERS health benefits will need to be coordinated. Automatic coordination can occur if you enroll in Medicare at least 60 days prior to your 65th birth month. We will send a notification to you 4 months prior to you or your dependent's 65th birth month. Included in this letter will be an ineligibility of Medicare certification form, which must be completed if you are not eligible for Part A. You can also note whether you are deferring Part B. If you are not eligible deferring, you'll stay in the basic plan. If you enroll in Parts A and B 60 days or less from your birth month, then you must provide proof of your Medicare enrollment to us. Provide us a copy of your Medicare card and a completed certification of Medicare status form. It's important not to ignore our notices. If you fail to enroll in Medicare by your birth month, then we will be forced to cancel your health plan the first of the month following your birthday. Also, Medicare will assess penalties if you delay enrollment. Review the CalPERS Medicare Enrollment Guide, which outlines everything you need to know about coordinating these benefits. You can find more information about eligibility and enrollment in Medicare at medicare.gov. We have several resources available if you need more information regarding health benefits. The CalPERS Medicare Enrollment Guide covers how Medicare works with your health benefits and when you need to enroll in a CalPERS Medicare plan. The Health Program Guide talks about basic and Medicare health plan eligibility, enrollment, and choices. The Health Benefits Summary explains the differences between HMO and PPO plans. And then the Evidence of Coverage publications review the terms and conditions of coverage, including benefits, covered services, and co-payment information for each health plan. And you can download or view each of these publications from our website.
The next topic we're covering is working after retiring on a service retirement. As a retiree on a service retirement, you can be self-employed or work for a non-CalPERS employer without limitations or restrictions, and your CalPERS pension will not be affected. However, if you return to work for a CalPERS employer, you need to be aware of some restrictions. There are 2 ways you can work for a CalPERS employer after you retire. 1, you can return to work for a CalPERS employer as a retired annuitant, or 2, you can reinstate as a CalPERS member. Let's first look at the more common of the 2, working as a retired annuitant. There are 3 requirements you must meet after working for a CalPERS covered employer. First, you must wait 180 days after your retirement date before you can return to work for a CalPERS employer. Second, your position must be a temporary position. It cannot be permanent full-time or permanent part-time. Third, you're limited to 960 hours within a fiscal year. If you exceed these limitations, it could lead to mandatory reinstatement. If you work temporarily for a CalPERS employer as a retiree, you will not accrue service credit or any other retirement rights or benefits. Your salary can be no less than or no greater than that of other employees performing comparable duties. Before accepting employment with any employer, it's your responsibility to ask them if they contract for CalPERS for retirement benefits and inform them that you are a CalPERS retiree. To return to work for a CalPERS employer as a retiree, you must apply for temporary positions directly through the employer. They decide whether or not to hire you. CalPERS may consider positions with third-party employers or independent contractors to be employee-employer relationships. Therefore, the position may be subject to the rules regarding returning to work after retirement. You should contact CalPERS to review such employment before entering into a contract. Once you're hired, both you and your employer are responsible for ensuring that your employment remains in compliance with CalPERS rules and state law. You want to make sure that your employment doesn't jeopardize your retirement benefits. Employment found in violation of CalPERS rules or state law can result in a mandatory reinstatement from retirement retroactive to the date your unlawful employment began. This means you could be required to reimburse the amount of retirement allowance you received while unlawfully employed, as well as paying retroactive member contributions and interest. If you would like more information on working after you retire, you can download or view our publication, Employment After Retirement. Now let's cover some of the informational resources available to you as a CalPERS member. As you plan for retirement and even after, you may want to stay informed about issues that are important to you. One of the easiest ways is through the CalPERS website at calpers.ca.gov. Most services available do not require a username or password. You can use the Service Credit Cost Estimator to get an estimate of the cost for several types of service credit. The Retirement Estimate Calculator allows you to calculate your retirement allowance based on various scenarios. And if you use the version in My CalPERS, it can pre-populate some of the information for you. During the health topic, we talked about the Health Plan Chooser and Health Plans Search by Zip Code tools. And you can find additional information on the Forms and Publications page. Our website is just as relevant after you retire. You can visit our website and select the Retirees tab to stay informed. The Perspective newsletter is mailed to all CalPERS members and retirees 3 times a year. It can also be viewed online and provides valuable information and updates on our programs, benefits, and services. You can sign up for CalPERS email subscriptions. These are alerts that CalPERS sends directly to your email. You can sign up for one or more of all the subscriptions offered. The Member Education Bulletin provides you with updates on when our member education events, webinars, or instructor-led classes will be held. The Board Meeting Notice and Agenda Alert gives you a direct link to the Board of Administration meeting notices and agendas as soon as they're available. The CalPERS News is a newsletter that's sent out twice a month. And finally, the Employer Bulletin is where you'll receive the latest employer-related news and information. There are additional information newsletters that you can subscribe for as well. Your CalPERS account is where you'll find your personal information in a secure area using your username and password. When you first log in, you'll come to the CalPERS account summary page. Other tabs include the Retirement Summary, Health Summary, if you have CalPERS health benefits through your employers, Educational Resources, Profile Page, and Message Center. For a detailed review of the tools and services available on CalPERS, visit our website and view our video, Member Self-Service CalPERS. Along with our online resources, a great way of keeping up on the latest information is the use of social networking. You can now follow us on Twitter and like us at Facebook. You can also find great informational videos that are published on our CalPERS YouTube channel. On YouTube, you can subscribe to our videos, share them, and embed them in your own sites. So let's review the various ways that you can contact CalPERS. First up is the CalPERS Message Center. In the Message Center, you can submit an inquiry to us. Because your request comes from a secured source behind your username and password, in most cases, we'll be able to provide a more personalized response. When we answer your inquiry, you'll be notified by mail that you have a message waiting in CalPERS. Simply log in to review the response. You can complete our online form for your questions and comments about CalPERS programs and services. You can get answers regarding retirement, health benefits, supplemental savings, technical issues, and more. It's important to remember that CalPERS cannot respond via email with detailed account information for these types of inquiries. You can contact us by mail. If your question will require us to include protected personal information in the response or require detailed research, mail is often the best way to get your question answered. When corresponding with us by mail, keep the following in mind. The average response time currently is 30 to 60 days, and some inquiries which require additional research may take longer. You can also reach us by phone. Our CalPERS representatives are available from 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and in most of the cases they can assist you in a single call. The busiest times to call us are the first of the month, Mondays, and the day after a holiday. And we now offer a callback feature so you can avoid waiting on hold. You can reach us by calling 888-CalPERS or 888-225-7377. Finally, you can visit a CalPERS regional office. We have 8 regional offices located throughout the state where staff can assist you with a variety of services and educational events. You can have retirement questions answered, pick up forms and publications, and submit your retirement application and have your signature witnessed. We do have walk-in appointments available at our regional offices, but walk-in times can vary and you could wait over an hour. You can schedule an appointment in CalPERS. Pre-scheduled appointments at our regional offices can fill up over a month in advance, so please plan ahead. Before visiting our regional offices, we'd like to offer some suggestions to help you be prepared and get the most out of your visit. First is attend a retirement class and check out some of our retirement planning online services. Make sure you read and complete any necessary forms and applications to the best of your ability. You should bring supporting documents. For example, if you choose an option that provides a lifetime benefit, you'll need your beneficiary's birth certificate. Also, bring your estimate with you as the regional offices are unable to generate estimates while you wait. And most importantly, write down a list of questions that you may have. Before you sign off today, we have a short survey we'd like you to complete. Please answer all the questions, as it's important for us to get your feedback to help us improve these presentations. Our presentation today was intended to give you an overall basic knowledge of how to plan for retirement. We hope this information is helpful and has been beneficial in helping you prepare for the future and retirement. Thank you for attending, and have a great rest of your day.